Hey, and welcome back. All right, I am Shireen. I'm a business coach, I'm a success coach, and I got a lot of feedback for us to keep doing this. So, we here as Christian entrepreneurs and professionals, I just want to chat with you and for you to have this space to talk about real things that we go through. So, today, let's chat a little bit about worrying about what people think about us. We all sometimes do this, worrying about what people think about us. And I think that when we are exploring this topic, we have to really examine our backgrounds, our history. We have to really think about, why do we care so much about what people think? Because it's real feelings, and it comes from wanting to people please. It comes from wanting everyone to like you. And in this day and age, especially where we are all on the gram, we are all wanting likes. We care a lot about likes and our followers and how much people are looking at what we're doing and validation. And I feel like it's first very important to know where that is coming from, especially I can say for me, I know now where that comes from, because I feel like if you have had some type of rejection in the past, that was traumatic for you, lays the foundation for you to be a people pleaser. It lays the foundation for you to constantly worry about what people think. And don't get me wrong, I don't know if we are ever completely rid of worrying about what people think. Well, I really don't do that much anymore, really. But sometimes it comes up. Sometimes it comes up and we feel like, I want them to like me. I want them to like me. But the Bible says, Proverbs 29:25, fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. Basically, fearing people is a dangerous trap, right? So fearing what people have to say is dangerous, right? In the grand scheme of things, it is very dangerous. It is not your job to care what people have to say. We were never called to be liked. Yes, culture has formed it. So our society has formed it so that is very important to have followers, to be liked. But we were never called to be liked, right? Especially when you are speaking truth, when you are in your authenticity, right? You're not going to be always liked, but the right people are going to come to you, right? And I think we have to get that in our head. It's not about being liked. And honestly, if you're liked too much, you're probably doing something wrong, right? Because that is not the purpose. You are called for something so much greater than yourself, all of us. Every single last one of us is called for something so much greater than ourselves, and we're not called to be liked. We are called to tell the truth and live by the word, right? So I know it's tough, right? But I think it's also, we have to think about, if we spend more time in the word, if we spend more time building a relationship with God, we can start to see the version of ourselves that we are called to be. Believe that for everybody. We start to see who we are called to be, right? Who we are supposed to be, right? The more I spend time with God, the more that I spend time in the Bible building that relationship, I get visions of who I'm supposed to be. And I think we all get that the more we spend more time, right? And that version of myself is who I am trying to get to, right? You always hear that saying, the only competition is with who you were yesterday, right? And that's where That's true because that's the only person you should be paying attention to. If we are building that relationship with God, if God is talking to us and telling us who we are supposed to be and giving us visions, I've had visions, giving us visions of the person we are supposed to become, that is the only thing that we should care about, or the only thing that we should be working towards, right? That's the best version of ourselves given to us by God. He's telling us who we're supposed to be, right? So to break it down even further, let's think about if I have someone, right? We interact with tons of people a day, right? We interact with so many people, right? A day, throughout our community, our friends, our family, all that stuff, right? All the time, right? If I have a person say to me, Shireen, you're sweet, I can see that you are going to be you're a great author, you're a great speaker, you're a great coach, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. I love it. I love how you speak. I love how you show up. I love all the stuff that you're doing. Go ahead and do more of that, right? Awesome. If someone else I encounter says, you know what, Shireen, you're doing too much for me. I don't like how you show up. I don't like how you speak to me. You're probably a little bit too blunt. You're probably a little bit too raw. I don't like how you come across, right? Is it then my job to now fix and mold the view of me that that person has in their head to make it match up to how I want them to see me? Is it then my duty to do that, right? Think about how many people we know, or think about how many people we come across. Is it, you can answer me in the comments, is it your duty to now shape and form, right, how people see you, how each and every one of those people see you? If that was true, we would be here forever, right? That would be extremely exhausting for us to then try to mold and try to bend and try to shape how everybody views us. That would be literally take forever. It would be exhausting and we would never finish. So why are we trying to do that anyway? Why do we care so much, right? And again, like I said, this is not, I'm going to give you tools in a minute, but this is not cut and dry because a lot of it comes from what we believe to be true about ourselves, what we believe we can't do, what we believe, who we think we're not. And it was shaped by something that had happened to us, an experience that we had, some type of rejection, trauma. And it's important to dive deeper into those things, right? It's important to dive deeper into those things, but it's impossible to do that. God is rebuilding you, making you new every single day, and He is pushing you to be the best version of yourself and who you are meant to be. And He's the only person, let's think about that. He is the only person who has that view in mind. He's the only person who knows. Let's be honest. Sometimes your mom might have a view of you and might tell you to do things that God did not tell you to do, right? I'm not saying to disrespect your mom, but, right, we cannot go about pleasing everyone. It's never going to work because everyone does not have in mind who I'm supposed to be. They don't know. Only one person, only God knows, right? So I cannot go about trying to fix that person's version of me in their heads, right? I can't, and I don't want to, right? Because I know from what God has told me, based on our conversations and our relationship, what I'm supposed to be doing, who I'm supposed to be, and I know I'm working towards that. And I know everyone is not going to like me because of it, but it's not your job to be liked. It is, you are called to be that best version of yourself, be the version that He has placed in front of you. That's who you are called to be, right? And if you don't have a vision of yourself, a best version of yourself, right? And that comes from not spending time with God, right? If you don't have that, what happens is you accept everyone else's version of you. So everything everyone else says, oh, she is too quiet. She's never gonna amount to anything. I don't like how she talks. I don't like how she walks, right? I don't think she will ever change her ways. Like, if you don't know, you accept everyone's version of yourself. So everyone who says something negative about you or says something about you in general, you deem it to be true because you don't know. You don't have that relationship for you to say, I'm sorry, that's not who I am. God is the only person who knows who you are and who you are supposed to be. That's who we should be working up to. That's what we should be working up to, right? And if you don't have that relationship, if you don't know God, if you don't know that version, can't see that version of yourself, you accept what everyone says about you to be true. And that's definitely not okay, right? So how can tools that we can start using so we don't have to worry about what people think? And number one is perspective. There is value in learning who you are, right? Knowing who you are in Christ, knowing your personality is important, right? And knowing how you work, knowing what makes you light up, like how you best communicate, how you are, your leadership style, all of these things, knowing more about who you are, shifting your perspective, right? To know that, oh, this is why God put this into me. This is why I am so blunt, or this is why I am so quiet. Like, I communicate in a different way, and this is how I get it now, right? God put things into you for a particular reason, for your assignment, for your purpose, right? Right? So there is value in learning who you are so you can shift your perspective and focus on the version of you that God has in mind, right? Number two, of course, is purpose, right? Of course, it's purpose. If you know your purpose, a lot of things can be fixed in our lives if we figure out our purpose and actually go about fulfilling it. We're all made to fulfill a purpose, right? But sometimes we get so worried about what someone else is doing, we want to do it like them. We get so worried about what other people are thinking, so we don't do anything at all, right? And a lot of things in our lives, believe it or not just this, can be solved if we actually adhered to our purpose and say, this is what I'm going to do. This is what God has called me to do. This is what I'm going to fulfill. This is my purpose. Again, the only way we can find that out if we spend time with God so he can show us what our purpose is. What is the problem that we have been called to fix, right? What are we here for? It is important to know that. And I understand if you haven't gotten that far yet, but know that you have to spend time with God, the word, for you to understand what that is, right? Because once you start putting your time into that, fulfilling your purpose, you see things start to shift, right? You are fully focused on that. And that is it, right? You're not worried about what other people have to say because you're focused on what you were sent here to do, right? And number three is silencing the critic. So I'm a business coach, so there's a lot of times where you have negative thoughts come up that say negative things, like you cannot do something, or I'm not deserving of this, or I could never learn how to do that, or things of that nature. And I have learned and I have taught to silence that critic, that inner critic. I suggest that you name your inner critic and tell them to be quiet. Like, I suggest that you challenge that inner critic. I have personally named my inner critic Barbara. No offense to any Barbaras out there, but that's just what I've named her. And for me, if I ever hear her saying something in the background, right, I'm just saying, not today, Barbara. I don't have time. Right? Not today, Barbara. Like, you're not going to mess with me today. That's totally untrue. No, right? We know that that's the devil. I've just given it a name, but we know where that comes from. And it is our job to say, no, not today. That is not true. That will never be true, right? When you begin to start silencing that, right, to tell that to be quiet, the more and more you realize it will start to go away, right? It will start to come up less and less, that negative Nancy, that toxic Tammy. It will start to not be there anymore, right? The more you silence it, right? Those are the tools that I use to not be able to worry about what people think. Make sure my perspective is shifted on I can't change what anyone thinks of me, and I frankly don't want to. All that I am concerned on is who I am and what I'm supposed to do, right? Right? I am silencing that inner critic. I am making sure that I am following the word. I'm making sure that I'm helping, right? I'm making sure that I am being myself and who he called me to be, right? So keep those things in mind when you are trying to, when you dig a little deeper as well in your past about why you may want to people please. All right?